Every major construction site, I mean, just picture it for a second. A new skyscraper, a massive bridge, or even a really complicated industrial campus. At its core, it's a colossal interconnected system. We're talking about timelines that are measured in years, budgets in the hundreds of millions, specialized skills all converging, and literally thousands of individual high-stakes decisions being made every single day. So how do you manage that? If you're responsible for it all, how do you keep that high-risk, high-cost operation from just descending into total chaos? How do you maintain order? Today, we are diving deep into the organizational blueprint that makes all of this possible. We're exploring what the industry calls the construction hierarchy. Our source material really positions this as the foundational structure for these massive undertakings. So our mission in this deep dive is to map this blueprint out. We want to unpack the structure, reveal the organized chain of command it establishes, and really pinpoint every key player and their defined responsibilities. By the end of this, you'll have a complete picture of how authority flows from the very top right down to the ground.
And understanding this is so much more than just looking at some flowchart. This is a study in crisis management, in organizational efficiency. Our source material really emphasizes that this strict hierarchy is the critical framework. And it's critical because it's doing 4 essential things at once. It ensures streamlined operation, it facilitates clear decision-making, it guarantees a robust flow of communication, and maybe most importantly, it maintains safety across the entire site. It is truly the shortcut to grasping how massive organizational complexity is managed successfully.
That structural framework, that skeleton, is what holds the entire body of the project together. Without it, you just have a disorganized pile of resources. Okay, let's unpack this organized chain. Let's trace the flow, starting right from the top. So the core idea here is establishing this rigorous, organized chain. It traces authority and, maybe more importantly, responsibility downwards. It ensures that for any task, big or small, there's zero ambiguity about who is accountable. So where does this flowchart officially begin?
It begins where the ultimate financial commitment and the grand vision reside, with the project owner and officials. This group is right at the apex of authority.
So this is the government body or the big corporation?
Exactly. Or a private developer. They're the ultimate stakeholders. They define the scope, they secure the funding, and they hold the highest accountability for the project's success. They set the what and the why.
Okay, so the owner sets the ultimate goal. But translating that multi-million-dollar vision, that massive building on a napkin, into an actual executable plan, that must require an enormous amount of synthesis, which takes us to the next critical layer down, the project managers.
Yes, exactly. If the owner is the conceptual driver, the project manager is the grand strategist. These are the people who translate that vision into a detailed, actionable plan. They're managing the immense resources, wrestling with the budget, setting milestones, dealing with procurement, all of it.
Mitigating risks, I imagine.
Huge risks. They synthesize all the inputs, design, engineering, legal, and turn it into a clear path forward. They are directing the entire strategy for how it's going to get built.
That sounds like a massive, almost desk-bound task. They're dealing with subcontractors, lawyers, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But who is the person who actually takes that high-level strategy and makes sure the dirt is moving and the steel is being bolted in the right place at the right time?
And that's where we hit the ground-level leadership. The site superintendents. These individuals are the absolute critical link between the management strategy and the physical execution.
Oh, okay.
If the project manager is running the war room, the site superintendent is the tactical commander on the battlefield. Their domain is the physical job site. They're making sure daily schedules are met. They're coordinating all the different trades, electricians, plumbers, iron workers, managing the logistics of materials coming in and out.
They're the problem solvers.
They are the ultimate problem solvers. Dealing with unexpected ground conditions, a delay in materials, they handle it in real time. Without them, the project manager's beautiful plan is just ink on paper.
It sounds like the site superintendent has the toughest job. They have to reconcile that optimistic timeline with the messy, unpredictable reality of construction. And that leads us right down to the final implementation layers, the people whose hands are actually on the tools. The hierarchy then extends down through all the specialized roles, right? The skilled artisans.
Welders, specialized plumbers, heavy machine operators.
And then down to the essential laborers. The sources really stress that this hierarchy covers everyone involved in the physical work. It's not just an org chart for the managers, it's a total map. From the owner signing the check to the person positioning the rebar, everyone knows where they fit.
And that comprehensive clarity, that is the real insight here. When we shift focus from who is involved to what the system actually accomplishes, its functions, the organizational genius of it becomes obvious. Its primary function is ensuring the unambiguous definition of roles and responsibilities.
Right.
Think about the risk involved. If a welder thinks the plumber is supposed to inspect a certain joint, and the plumber thinks the welder is responsible, you have a massive failure point.
Huge one.
Ambiguity is lethal in high-risk environments. This structure creates clearly defined jurisdictions. Everyone knows their task, their boundaries, and who they report to.
And that foundational clarity, it has exponential dividends, which is why owners demand it. Our source material points to the specific outcome of ensuring efficient operation. When roles are absolutely clear, you eliminate the massive friction and overlap that would otherwise just plague the whole effort. I mean, imagine a scenario without this structure. A subcontractor needs a change order approved.
Right. Who do they go to?
They'd have to wander around asking random supervisors, maybe holding up an entire crew for days. But because of the hierarchy, they know immediately. Go to the site superintendent who has a clear path to the project manager. That chain prevents multi-million-dollar delays.
And this structured path directly facilitates swift and accurate decision-making. I mean, construction is an exercise in managing the unpredictable. When a major issue comes up, a shipment of concrete is rejected, or a critical piece of equipment breaks, time is money.
Big money.
And failure to act fast means massive cost overruns. Because the chain of command is so rigorous, the decision maker is instantly identifiable. There are no bottlenecks. The authority flows up and down that chain almost instantly, so the project manager can react decisively without losing control.
And linking directly to that is the third critical function, maintaining a smooth communication flow. Information has to travel rapidly in both directions. Strategic directives come down, but just as importantly, ground-level information, a material shortage, a safety hazard that has to travel back up just as quickly.
And if that path is fuzzy, you're in trouble.
Exactly. The site superintendent might not get a strategic update. Or worse, the project manager might not hear about a critical quality issue until it's way too late. The hierarchy institutionalizes that flow of information.
And the function that integrates all of this, that really proves the necessity of this structure, is safety. On a complex site, safety protocols are only as good as the reporting lines that support them. This hierarchy ensures every safety procedure has a specific supervisory checkpoint.
So there's always accountability.
Always. When a laborer spots a potential hazard, the hierarchy dictates they report immediately to their foreman, who reports to the site superintendent, who has the authority to issue a site-wide stop work order if necessary. That defined chain of command maximizes responsibility for safety. It mitigates risk.
So we've established this wonderfully structured, layered system. It's perfectly designed for maximum clarity, for control, for efficiency. It's the rigid backbone of a major organization. But what I found fascinating is that the source material doesn't present this as some static, one-size-fits-all solution.
That is such a crucial insight. The source notes that the strict, layered structure we just walked through, that's typical and, frankly, necessary for large companies.
Right. Because of the risk.
The legal exposure, the financial risk, the sheer volume of tasks, they need that control and rigidity. However, for smaller companies, maybe doing residential builds or smaller commercial projects, that same rigidity would actually be counterproductive.
It would slow them down.
Totally.
Yeah.
Smaller firms often use a more flexible or flatter hierarchy.
By flatter, you mean fewer layers between the top and the bottom. So maybe the project manager and the site superintendent are the same person.
Precisely. Or the owner might be dealing directly with the foreman. It highlights a universal truth about effective organizations. The structure has to adapt to the scale.
It has to fit the need.
Exactly. Rigidity is essential for control in a massive firm, but flexibility is the key to agility and speed in a smaller team, where communication is just inherently simpler.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source material gave us a perfect organizational diagram here. The construction hierarchy, it takes the inherent chaos and complexity of building massive structures, and it translates all of that into a defined, rigorous chain of command, from the project owner down through the project managers and finally to the people holding the tools. The singular goal is just guaranteeing clarity.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the core insight for you, the learner, is universal. For any large, complex, high-risk operation, efficiency is fundamentally an organizational problem. And it's a problem that is solved by rigorous, deliberate structure.
It's not just nice to have.
It's mandatory. In environments where high cost, multiple specialties, and safety all converge like construction without clearly defined roles and responsibilities, the risk of catastrophic failure just goes up exponentially.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me. We saw that while the need for structure is absolute, the form of that organization, it isn't static. It flexes. Large firms need those strict layered structures to manage overwhelming complexity. But smaller firms show us that organizational design is a direct response to immediate needs. They thrive with flatter, more flexible models.
Which then raises an important question, doesn't it? We know that strict structure ensures safety, communication, and financial control in huge projects by minimizing ambiguity. But is there an operational cost to that rigid chain of command? When does the benefit of that strictly layered hierarchy start slowing down innovation or adaptation on site? You know, when the site superintendent has to wait 3 days for an approval that a flatter structure could grant in an hour.
Where's that tipping point?
Exactly. Where's that tipping point between necessary control and stifling rigidity? That is something for you to consider the next time you look up at a massive building under construction.